The scent of crushed mulberry leaves clung to Mulan's fingers as she worked the loom, the shuttle's rhythmic click keeping time with her pounding heart. Outside, autumn wind carried the metallic tang of armor being polished in neighboring yards, a sound as familiar now as the songs of silkworms had been last summer. The conscription notice lay unfolded on the low table, its vermilion seal bleeding into the rice paper like the sunset staining the western hills. 1 male per household. Her father's knees cracked like splitting bamboo as he knelt before the ancestral altar, his old cavalry sword balanced across trembling palms. Behind him, 10-year-old Zhao Bao stood on tiptoes trying to mimic the stance, his feet swimming in their father's discarded boots. Mulan's mother said nothing, but her hands moved ceaselessly mending winter socks, rolling medicinal herbs, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from her husband's shoulders as if productivity could stave off destiny. That night, Mulan stared into the bronze mirror, watching her reflection fracture with each snip of the shears. Dark strands fell like severe bowstrings around her feet. The linen breast bindings constricted her ribs, but not as fiercely as the memory of her father's labored breathing after climbing the courtyard steps. When her mother appeared in the doorway, the oil lamp guttered, casting wavering shadows across the half-made armor laid out on the bed leather hardened with resin, scales stitched tight as fish skin. "Daughter?" The word trembled like a plucked zither string. Mulan turned, already adjusting the unfamiliar weight of the saber at her hip. The scent of iron filings and pine pitch rose from her altered clothes. "The ancients say a single thread can mend a torn sky," she said, catching her mother's hands before they could fly to her shorn hair. "Let them call me Huajian on the rolls." The military camp stank of fermented horse milk, and men who'd march 30 li without rest. Mulan learned survival in increments. The way to swing her hips into her shoulders when walking, transforming feminine grace into masculine swagger. The art of voice modulation, not the exaggerated bass of street theater, but the natural hoarseness she cultivated by pretending a chronic throat ailment from childhood pneumonia. The vital importance of volunteering for night watch, where solitude meant safety from prying eyes during private moments. Her greatest test came in the form of Li Shang's, the garrison captain whose frost-tipped spear seemed an extension of his unyielding spine. Where others saw only a slight, delicate recruit, Shang noticed how Mulan's arrows could pin a fluttering leaf to an oak trunk at 200 paces. How she alone could calm the regiment's demon-eyed Kargis, stallion a beast that had shattered 3 men's ribs by humming fragments of a weaving song her grandmother taught her. Huajun Shang used one evening as they shared sentry duty, the campfire painting his sharp features in molten gold. "You fight like a man who left his soul as collateral." Mulan tensed, her fingers instinctively checking the lay of her breast bindings beneath the armor. "Don't all soldiers, Captain?" At Blood Snow Pass, the mountains wept crimson. The ruin ambush came at twilight, when the Tian Shan glaciers glowed like exposed bone beneath the moon. Mulan's company found themselves pinned on a cornice, their arrows spent, the sheer drop behind them offering no retreat. As the enemy's wolfskin-clad archers advanced, she noticed the fragile curve of the overhanging snow shelf nature's loaded crossbow. "Shang?" She spurred her mount forward without explanation, knowing he'd understand. The captain's horn sounded the feigned retreat, luring the ruin into the kill zone as Mulan's fire arrows found their mark. The avalanche roared like 1,000 silk looms unraveling at once. She woke to darkness and the coppery taste of thawing blood. The dead horse's carcass that sheltered her had frozen solid, its stiffened legs forming a macabre canopy against the elements. When Shang finally dug through the snow crust, his breath came in ragged clouds as he peeled back her collar to inspect the wound, only for the sodden bindings to slither loose like a shed snakeskin. Their eyes met across the suspended moment. Without a word, Shang retied the cloth with hands steadier than those that wielded his spear, then carried her back to camp as dawn stained the glacier pink. 12 winters later, Chang'an's victory lanterns bobbed like fireflies above the streets. The emperor's golden robes outshone the sun as he extended the ministerial seal toward Mulan's still Huajun in the court's eyes. She removed her helmet. The gasps of shocked officials rippled outward until the Son of Heaven raised his hand. "No minister in our history has shown such strategic brilliance," he declared, eyeing the sore calluses on her now bare throat. "Name your reward." Mulan touched her forehead to the jade-inlaid floor. "This unworthy one asks only for a fast horse to return to mulberry trees and aging parents. Home smelled of ginger simmering in black vinegar and the faint mildew of neglected silk frames. Villagers lined the road as Mulan rode through in the embroidered robes of her girlhood, her military sash draped across the saddle like a fallen banner. Her father's embrace rattled with suppressed sobs. Her mother clutched the childhood toy sword, its notches from pretend battles now mirrored by scars on her daughter's arms. At moonrise, Li Shan came without retinue or armor, bearing a jade hairpin carved with intertwined plum branches. "The army taught me to recognize true strength," he said, kneeling as no captain should before a civilian. Mulan turned the pin in the lantern light, watching the veins and the stone pulse like captured rivers. "And what did this lesson cost you?" Sheng's smile held the ghosts of 12 winters. "Every prejudice I ever carried." In the quiet years that followed, travelers would speak of the silk weaver near Luyang whose fabrics held impossible patterns, battle formations woven into wedding veils, snow leopards hidden in children's quilts. They whispered that if you held her work to your ear at dusk, you might hear the distant echo of war drums. Or perhaps just the relentless, comforting click of a shuttle moving through time.